Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing very well. Welcome to this edition of Discussion on the Indian Express dated 23rd of August 2022, and I bring to you some of the major articles from the newspaper. Let's begin with our today's discussion. From the very first page, page number 6, pertaining to GS3 economy sector, there is an article headlined as In First Meet, Committee on MSP sets up subgroups to discuss key issues. So, the government's Committee on Minimum Support Price, Natural Farming and Crop Diversification held its very first meeting on Monday, and during this meeting, 3 internal subgroups were formed to deliberate on the mandated topics. So, from this article, you have to know what are the outcomes and recommendations of the government's Committee on Minimum Support Price, Natural Farming and Crop Diversification. So, moving on page number 7 from GS2 International Relations, the article is headlined as Sonowal focuses on bilateral ties, trade via Chabahar port. So recently, our Union Ports, Shipping and Waterways Minister Sarbananda Sonowal called on Iran's Vice President Mohammad Mukhbir and reiterated commitment to strengthen the bilateral relations. There was an MOU signed, and also India Ports and Global Company IPGL will open offices in Tehran and Chabahar to promote trade and transit via the Chabahar port. From this article, you have to know what is the present status of bilateral relations between India and Iran. Also, what are the recent developments in this context and what are the future prospects? Moving on page number 9 from GS3 Internal Security, the article is headlined as Supreme Court agrees to hear plea against its order on the PMLA validity. Now, recently, the Supreme Court agreed to list for hearing petition seeking review of its July 27 order that is upholding the constitutional validity of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Now, from this article, you have to know about the Prevention of Money Laundering Act PMLA, also what are its objectives and what are the Supreme Court's observation in this regard. Moving on page number 10, from GS2 Governance Sector, the article is headlined as Our Bilkis Moment. So, Bilkis is silent, but there exists a Kali waiting in the wings, tongue out and foot raised, who will fight back. This article is written by Ms. Mahua Moitra, and from here you have to know about the controversy over the remission in the Bilkis Bano case, also what are the Indian laws on remissions, the key analysis and what is the possible scenario ahead. Moving on page number 10 itself, again from GS2 Governance, the article is headlined as Veeranganas of the Nation. So it is about the Prime Minister's Independence Day speech that emphasized unsung women warriors as a symbol for the future. From this article, you have to know what are the key points of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Independence Day speech and what is the relevance. Moving on page number 11 from GS2 International Relations, this is an interesting article headlined as A Tale of Putin and Xi. So this article says lessons from the past misjudgments of shifts in great power relations should help Delhi to better navigate the current dynamic. From this article, you have to know how great power conflict has systemic effects and consequences for the world. Also know about the discourse on India's current diplomacy. Further on, India's approach to the conflict in Taiwan and what are the future prospects in this scenario. Moving on page number 13 from GS1 History section. So the article is headlined as Pandurang Khankhoje, Indian revolutionary and agricultural scientist revered in Mexico. So he was a freedom fighter and agricultural scientist who was born in the year 1886. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will be travelling to Mexico, wherein he will unveil the statues of Swami Vivekanand and Maharashtrian-born freedom fighter Pandurang Khankhoje. As you can see in the picture, Mexican artist Diego Rivera's mural over Our Daily Bread depicts Khankhoje. So this article talks about the freedom fighter and his role in the freedom struggle and also about his passage to Mexico. From this article, you have to know who was Pandurang Khankhoje and what was his association with the Indian independence movement. Moving on page number 13 from GS3 Economy Sector, the article is headlined as Ways to Privatize the Public Sector Banks. So the article says, should India privatize nationalized banks wholesale and rapidly or take a gradual approach? Data shows that the private banks have generated profiles, but the public sector banks have been more inclusive and lent more to the crucial sectors. So from this article, you have to know how should public sector banks be privatized and what are the objectives behind this. Also, what are the issues and the possible scenario ahead. Moving on page number 15 from GS3 Economy Sector, the article is headlined as Eye on Willful Defaulters, Finance Ministry tweaks over the overseas investment rules. So, from this article, you have to know about the new norms notified by the Department of Economic Affairs (DEA) for the loan defaulters and what is the rationale given behind it. With this, we call it a wrap of today's edition of Headlines of the Day, the Indian Express. I hope you liked the video. I will see you with some other video. Till then, take care and do stay tuned.